Afternoon, America. Brian James Blem here. I want to welcome you back to another episode of What the Fuck's Up. Rare day. I've got two videos out, but I think this is a hugely important issue because what's about to take place on Saturday in the state of Arizona are Republican Party elections, statewide elections for the Arizona GOP, the grand old party. These elections, folks, depending on what state you're in and what rules govern there, have been taking place across the United States after the presidential election. So they are happening everywhere. So what's happening in Arizona is also likely happening in a community or village near you. And so you need to get involved, especially if you are a Republican state committeeman in the state of Arizona and you have the power to vote at the upcoming Arizona GOP elections. Now, there's a huge debate taking place as you have the successful chairman, Gina Swoboda, who had phenomenal results from the 2024 elections, being challenged by Cory McGarr, a man who lost an Arizona legislative district that no Republican should lose, ever. A man who could not raise enough money to even compete with a Democratic challenger in his Republican district. And he is being supported by someone who could not even hold on to her seat in the House of Representatives because she was kicked out of the House of Representatives after, bringing a witness to the floor where she ambushed and waylaid her own constituency, her own caucus, and allowed this witness to come forward making all kinds of allegations of fraud without any substantive proof. And so you have these two individuals challenging a very successful candidate for the chairmanship of the AZ GOP. Now, what you got to ask yourself is what is really taking place here? What's the underlying current? This is the underlying current, folks. A lot of people were pissed off about the Republican National Committee elections prior to the presidential elections. They believed that the grassroots were not giving enough support. So a certain organization, and that organization is known as Turning Point Action, is working very, very hard to take over the state party chairmanships in each state, as well as to win election of their people to the national committeeman seats in those states. And they're doing so through a group called the Mount Vernon Project. The Mount Vernon Project is Turning Point Action's 501c4 that it is using to DC the AZ GOP, right? If you support a free and independent Arizona Republican Party, then you need to oppose Turning Point Action. You need to oppose the election of Cory McGarr to the Arizona chairmanship, because you're going to be handing control over the Arizona Republican Party to Turning Point. You're going to be giving it to a guy who couldn't even raise enough money to defend his Republican should never lose House seat, to a man, your entire party over to that man. He will be dependent, and that's what they're hoping, on Turning Point Action for funding coming into the Arizona Republican Party. And then your party will find itself, of course, dependent and forced to do what Turning Point Action wants it to do. Turning Point Action has done a lot of good work in our elections. They've gotten a lot of good messages out, but Turning Point Action should remain a separate and distinct entity from the AZ GOP, and it should not be given the power to control the AZ GOP. So those of you considering voting for Cory McGarr, I strongly urge you to research the Mount Vernon Project. Not a bad project. Unless it's about taking over your political party apparatus so it can have control out of Washington, D.C., leaving you, the elected Arizona Republican state committeeman, with very little control. And with that, I would urge you all to keep the AZ GOP independent, to keep it Republican, and to support Gina Svoboda for state party chair. And with that, I say peace.